folks. Welcome inside the Parisi Palace, high above 2919 East Broadway. This is the Jake Feinberg Show on Power Talk 1210 KEVT, Sahuarita, Tucson. Thank you so much for making us part of your day today. It is an honor now to bring in a cat who has basically done it all in the world of music. He has been a melodic inventor for many, many years. He's created many albums as a leader. He's been a great accompanist. He's been a great team player. He knows what love is. He understands it. And he's coming to Tucson with the Traffic Jam on Wednesday, January 20th. Dave Mason, welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
How are you?
It's nice to talk to you, brother.
Thank you.
You know, I wanted to, Dave, I wanted to ask you, I was a little bit stunned just doing my research last night. Can you talk about when you first picked up the sitar and who were you really influenced by Ravi Shankar?
Yeah, I was just used to listen to a lot of it. Chatna, Ravi Shankar, Alaraka. I think I'm very into it. I was into a lot of different kinds of music. And George Harrison gave me my first sitar and told me where I should get one from in India.
I guess what I'm getting at is, there's a lot of cats in today's world, very proficient technically, and they have monster chops, but they don't have feel, Dave. They don't feel, and I'm trying to figure out how you learned how to feel the music. If you could talk to the audience about that.
Just trying to listen to a lot of records, listen to a lot of music. I mean, the thing about Europe and our music over there is our music wasn't segregated. In other words, there weren't just black radio stations and there weren't just white radio stations. So we heard everything. You could hear all kinds of stuff. I mean, back then there wasn't really a lot to pick from. There was the BBC, Radio Luxembourg, and then later on we had the pirate radio stations. There were ships anchored outside the 12-mile limit playing, they did everything.
But did that help you get comfortable on the bandstand? I mean, the difference was that at least in the States now, and I'm not speaking about Europe, but the States, we have a serious supply and demand issue. A lot of great players, not enough places to play. I've interviewed over 500 cats. And, what it comes down to is I was born in 1978, but my feeling is that you guys developed your own individual sound and your own ability to feel the music on the bandstand. And I'd like you to talk about a transcendent moment early in your career on the bandstand where you had an out-of-body experience with the music.
I don't think I've ever had that. I mean, I just wanted to play music and decided that's what I wanted to do. And just, a lot of it is luck. A lot of it is just hammering away at it and doing it. I mean, I got lucky and I wrote some songs and those songs lasted a long time. And as far as making music, you never stop learning, really. I mean, I'm still have as much fun, if not more, playing now than I did then. I mean, it's just something that you can do as long as I can stand up there and do it. I can, I'll be doing it.
Branch,
so,
yeah,
but a lot of it is just pure, 10% talent and 90% hard work, sticking to it.
Branch Rickey said the luck is the residue of design. Could you give an example of luck?
Well, you just have to put yourself in the right places. I mean, I played with a lot of great artists, from Hendrix to Stevie Wonder to George Harrison to, an enormous amount of people. The list is long. It's there on my website, but part of it is if you want to learn something, then put yourself around the best. And that was not all that hard to do in England back then because there were a very finite number of studios, and everybody was using them, and everybody was pretty much using the same engineers. So the opportunity to cross with other people, get together or talk or meet or whatever, was very easy. I mean, everybody congregated in one city, London, not like the U.S. So you had, a number of musical centers: Philadelphia, New York, Atlanta, Muscle Shoals, Nashville, L.A., San Francisco, Chicago. It's a very small little world over there. And we just learned all the stuff. All we did was copy American music and sell it back to you.
Right.
I mean, it all comes from America. Jazz, blues, gospel, you name it.
Right.
It's all American music.
No, you nailed it, Mason. I'll tell you, you nailed it. But the problem is, just transcribed a quote from my second interview with Brian Auger, and he's talking to Herbie Hancock, and he says, "I just don't understand this, Herbie. I'm playing American music to the Americans, and it all seems to be going down really well. Why would a British band playing these things be accepted, and the original people who did are not as much?" And he said, "There's something to it. It seems the music has gone through some kind of filter. The English bands that come over seem to really believe in it." And that's my question to you is, you're right. The music was created here, but never appreciated the way it was by you cats. Why?
Well, I mean, I don't know, you name it. I mean, Otis Redding was huge. I'm trying to think. I mean, the blues players, for the most part, have held up. But and I mean, if it wasn't for Albert King and Otis Rush and Elmore James and people like that, there'd be no Jeff Beck's or Eric Clapton's. So that's all directly from them. But there again, the blues has held up and lasted. To be honest with you, I mean, I just up and left England when I was 22 rather, because traffic wasn't part of traffic anymore, and I figured I may as well go where it all started. Not to mention, of course, it was 97 cents in the dollar taxes. I flew.
A lot of the jazzers took boats. They came over maybe.
No, I flew. I came here when I was about 11. I mean, it was still Idlewild. It was still Idlewild Airport when I took my first flight in America.
Wow, I love that.
Took 8 hours. Took 8 hours to fly across the U.S. 7 hours.
And to Alex Litcherwood, the great singer, and he's like, in Paris, there's 1,500 jazz festivals every summer on top of a hill,
right.
On top of a hill somewhere, and someone's like, well, nobody's going to come to this thing, and 1,000 people show up. I mean, and it's, but yet he still chooses to live in Santa Monica. You're calling me on a 310 number, so you're still, you at least have one house here. And yet the music is still so vibrant in Europe. I mean, it really is. To me, it comes down to an appreciation for the artist as a profession. In this country, it seems like it's more of a pay-to-play kind of thing going on, unless you have a monster reputation like Dave Mason or David Crosby or Tower of Power or Steve Miller. But in Europe, it's still, I mean, do you get over there? How often do you perform? Obviously, the Traffic Jam is on tour.
I don't play in Europe. I've never sold any records in Europe.
So you were an expat from '72, and you never looked.
This is my home here. I've been here since 1969, and made my career here in the U.S. Other than maybe Japan and Canada, that's it, basically. I'm still waiting to go play in Europe.
What? You've never played in Europe?
I did with Traffic early on, but not solo-wise.
This is stunning to me. So you've never, because it's so funny. They say you're an English-born singer-songwriter, but yeah, I'm like, that's pretty distant from actually ever returning there. or ever playing there as Dave Mason. I mean, you must have given that a thought in your career, though.
Well, it'd be nice to go over there and play, so that I'm not playing so much here in the U.S. But I mean, America's been my home. This is where I've settled, and this is where they accepted me, and I'm, I'll be 70 in May, and still people come out, and they're still coming to the shows, and there's kids in there too. So I miss a big country. There's plenty to do here.
Can you talk to the audience a little bit about when you first came over? Some of the gigs you might have had at the Whiskey A Go Go. Did you cross paths with Jesse Ed Davis or Taj Mahal? Or I guess more to the point.
Yeah. I mean, I played with Delaney and Bonnie for a while when I first came here.
Right.
Because I knew them real well, and then they had a big hit with Only You Know and I Know. Great live band, and some great musicians. I mean, Leon Russell was on Alone Together. There was Jim Gordon, Jim Keltner. They were a lot of the session guys, a lot of Tulsa boys.
Oh, the Tulsa boys! I talk to Keltner every week, man. Were they? Was there double drums in that group at that time, or not, or just one? I mean, because Gordon and
Delaney and Bonnie, no, they're just one. They sort of go around. Jim Gordon, Keltner, or the very early drummer who was great, Jimmy Karstein.
Jimmy Karstein, yeah, and also because Larry Knechtel, Leon Russell, all
Larry
those.
Knechtel, he played on Alone Together.
Yeah, no, I mean those cats were all the Oklahoma cats, and there's Dave Mason from the expat from England coming in. Was Kenny Gradney on bass at that time?
No, I think mostly played bass. Carl Radel and Chris Etheridge mostly played bass on Alone Together.
One of the L's on my show is leadership, Dave, and you've been a leader for quite some time. But can you talk about some nuanced qualities of leadership that are essential that have been essential for years, but as a band leader or to lead a group of people, in your mind, what are the essential qualities of leadership?
Well, yeah. I mean, I have my guitar player, John Sambatero, vocals and plays the guitar. He's played on and off with me for 38 years. My drummer's been with me about 12 years. My keyboard player plays bass as well as most recent. But I guess, first of all, for what I do, is they've obviously got to be into the music in order to be there in the first place. And I kind of run, we're a small outfit. There's just 7 of us in total on the road with the crew. And I just have gotten at many ups and downs, but I just, I'm basically going to play till I drop. I don't miss the last show,
Right.
So a lot of it is just I take care of the guys best I could. They're always taken care of. They're always paid on time, and I'm not really asking them to do anything that I wouldn't do. And I just have to, for the most part, I've got to be up there being the best I can be. I mean, if you're talking about whatever leadership it is with what I do, I just got to keep my standards up and be the best I can and not let these guys down, give them, make them, so they want to do it. Also, musically make it fun for them, which I'm able to do with a number of my songs, because there's room for improvisation in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it never doesn't get stagnant or boring.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've been talking a lot about to different cats about is the idea that when the Traffic Jam goes on tour, you might have a set list for 3 different enough material for a few different gigs, but then ultimately you're playing the same songs almost every night. But yet within the structure of each song, there is this level of improvisation that takes place, which really requires you to stay in the moment. And because you go to a lot of stuff now and it's very scripted. You go to something that's 3 minutes, it's done. 4 minutes, it's done. Do you guys find can you talk a little bit about improvising within the basic structure of tunes that you guys play dozens of times a year?
Well, I got 3 or 4 minute songs that they're the same. We just disagree as we just disagree. There's not going to be an improvisation in that. But the point about it is, it's a great song. And also my guys that play with me, and all of us for that matter, we're working musicians, me included. And we take pride in doing what we do, and we want to do it well. And when we get on stage, as much as we're there to play for the audience, we're there to play for ourselves.
I love it, man. What are you, Miles Davis? That's exactly right.
So, it's not easy being out here on the road. It's as easy as you want to make it. Let's put it that way. So, we're up there for 2 hours, but there's another 22 hours. It's what I usually tell people. You're not paying me to stand up here and make this music. You're paying me to leave the house is what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, dragging your ass around here, around the country is you have to have it just takes a certain mentality to do it. You got to be into it. And you work, and you want that 2 hours on stage. I want to have fun. I want it to be good.
But do you
I want to come off there and go, yeah, guys, that was great.
Can you? I just interviewed this banjo player, Herb Peterson, and he was talking about Don Henley, the Eagles, how they brought in a new guitar player to play the licks, and after about 2 weeks, the guy got comfortable and was like, "Yo, can I stretch out?" And Don's like, "Nope, it's not on the album." Do you? Right. Can you talk to are you able to, do you guys open it up? Do you allow people that freedom, or is it something that, because like what you were just talking about, there are certain bands where people pay the money because that's what they want to hear is on the record. To me, I find that somewhat abhorrent. I'd rather, do you guys find yourself, stretching out?
Well, nothing I do live is exactly note for note like a record,
right,
at all. And in this show, for instance, Traffic Songs, Dear Mr. Fantasy is basically a 3-chord song. It's in a major key, and I rewrote it and put it in the minor key. And I do Low Spark of High Heel Boys, but I do it as a slow blues.
Right.
And it goes so fantastic. And you just go like, whoa, okay.
Were you still with Traffic when, how did you guys discover Rebop Kwakuba?
He was just one of these, percussion players around the scene over there.
He came from Ghana. He came from Ghana, right? And he fell off an ox cart. Is that right?
I have no idea. He's from Ghana, though.
He's from Ghana.
But, we're England. We got, I grew up with all those people from our colonies: Pakistanis, Indians, Jamaicans, Africans.
Was he in Traffic when you were still there, though?
I think he sort of came in later. I played with Rebop.
Right, because I was just the story goes that he fell off an ox cart in Ghana, and then a white doctor put him in a sling. But when he got home, his grandmother put mud on his arm and herbs, and so his arm grew back a little bit crooked. But he could play.
It sounds like a good story.
How did you link up with Bob Krasnow?
Well, that's who signed me. That's the label I went to when I first, when I was still a lamb to the slaughter. When I first came here. And I was managed by Alan Parisa, who managed Delaney and Bonnie. And that's where I finished up with Mr. Krasnow.
Right. And what did you think of his style? But did you ever work with Tommy LaPuma too?
Oh, Tommy LaPuma co-produced Alone Together with me.
Can you talk about how you guys worked together?
Well, Tommy's great. I mean, I had Tommy and I had Al Schmidt. And Al Schmidt goes back to 3 sessions with Sinatra, Nat King Cole. And they were great. I just talked to Al a week ago. And they were great guys. They were jazz guys a lot, Oh,
absolutely. LaPuma and Nick DeCaro, those guys had an accordion vocal group in Ohio. But, more specifically, you being the artist, you being a singer, can you talk about working with a composer and or arranger? How you guys made an effective team? Because you were on Blue Thumb for quite a while, and that's really how you got your start as a leader.
Well, I was for basically 2 records, not even 2, if you really. I mean, I've never worked with an arranger, so I didn't. Other than somebody putting strings on stuff. I mean, Alone Together is just here's 8 songs, guys. Tommy LaPuma assembled all the musicians because I didn't know any of those guys that were on there. And here's the song, and I do it like I do with most things. So here's how the song goes. Let me hear what you guys are going to come up with in here. And that's basically how I do it. And let them just play. Maybe somebody will come up with a lick that's like, yeah, okay, that's cool, keep that. You leave room for them to be creative so that they have a little bit more of an emotional stake in doing the song other than just reading the notes off the paper. I wouldn't have any notes on paper. I can't read or write music anyway, so.
I mean, you are blowing my mind, man. Number one, you've never been back to perform in England. You don't read or write music, so you're all self-taught.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is all the cats that were in the studios with you in the 70s when it was just a machine, those guys had to become prolific sight readers. Although I don't know, it depends on the complexity of your songs, if there were a lot of chord changes or not. But that's
most of my stuff is simple. It's not that complicated. Some of them are just little time changes, like wording changes. There's some little time structures you got to kind of feel. But otherwise, I mean, hell, my biggest song ever has got 2 chords in it, for Christ's sake, Feeling All Right.
That's right. I mean, it's unbelievable. Everybody covered that tune, man. I mean, can you, was it an often an occurrence when you'd be driving in Southern California and you'd hear Gladys Knight or the Jackson 5 covering your song?
Well, it's always, I mean, it's nice to hear somebody covering your stuff. It's flattering and financially rewarding. But it's flattering that many people would do it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the another L on my show is love, and I'd like you to talk about your concept of love. We just lost David Bowie. I don't know if you ever crossed paths with him, but
with who? I'm sorry.
David Bowie.
No, I haven't. I haven't crossed paths, and I have to admit I was never really a fan of his.
Me neither. So getting back,
I mean, I like
yeah.
I like that one track, Let's Dance. I like that.
but otherwise I was never really a big fan of his.
Yeah, and I should have just followed through on my question. Can you give me your concept of love and how you bring love to the world?
Well, sometimes it's overrated.
Can you extrapolate on that?
And it's been expensive.
Yeah, man. I'm still married, but I dig.
So, but otherwise, I mean, I get, all my songs, my music, I do it for me. I wrote it for me. I wrote it for myself. It just happens that I get a lot of people that just are like, wow, you really helped me through this part of my life, or you really helped me through my college days, or, we got married to your song. It's great. So I guess for the most part, I just, I guess that's the way I do it, is through my music, through my songs. I mean, basically, most, there's no, like, people ask me about songs, what did this mean, what did that mean, it's really, there's no big, deep secret here of meaning, guys. It's whatever you want. And plus, when I play shows anyway, the biggest thing that I'm doing and want to happen when I play a show is I want people to walk out of there feeling better than they did when they walked in. That's it.
Yeah, it's like Art Blakey. Art Blakey used to say that his job as a drummer was to wash away the dust of everyday life of people.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, when did that dawn on you, even as a unknown, playing, bar gigs, playing, after hours dawn sessions in Europe? I mean, have you always felt that way, or was there a period in your career where you're like, well, not only do I want to get off on the music, but I want to make sure that the people are leaving, they were impacted as well?
Well, I just figure that if that's why with the band, if it's working for us, it's going to work for them. I mean, here the key to everything is the real key is authenticity. If it's authentic, you can relate to any age, anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't get away with bullshit for so long. Smoking mirrors, flashing lights, smoke bombs, this and that.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting because did you ever feel at any point in your career that you were dealing with smoke and mirrors, especially after you got a few big hits? Because
no.
I'm just trying to, what I'm trying to get at is like...
No, I've never done that. I've always been true to what it is I want to do.
Yeah, because it's...
sometimes it might have been wrong, but I was still stuck with it.
Yeah, I mean, you were still being authentic. That's a huge word. I'm
not going to be... I went through the whole period with punk music. There's nobody in the record business going to give you the time of day because, well, that's not what's happening now. Oops, okay. I'm not going to go that way just because that ain't what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm not going to go disco. I'm just going to do what I do. And then, and I guess if you like I said, all the line is like, last man standing wins. And and you leave that suit in the closet long enough, it's going to become fashionable again.
Right. Are you dusting off any older tunes or even new compositions on this tour?
Well, that's another thing. See, I never see things as either old or new.
Right.
They're either good tunes or they're not.
Hey, you're Duke Ellington, man. You're channeling Duke Ellington right there.
They're either, good music or it has no time. Because essentially when you're writing something, You're not doing it by the clock or the place or the space. It just comes out. So it really has no time reference. Unless you're writing something lyrically that's specifically dated, you know. But otherwise, most my stuff, I purposely try to write timeless music. So I write about emotions a lot, or feelings, which don't really have any time. They never change.
And the other music that doesn't have any timeless music is raga. And you mentioned you saw Alu Raka. Can you describe it, the first time you saw him?
Oh, Ravi Shankar and Alaraka. Yeah, I've seen those two live. It's amazing.
What was so awe-inspiring for those of us like myself who were not Alu Raka was Zakir Hussein's father, but he was the original tabla.
Yeah.
And
the tabla player with Ravi. They just amazing, those two together.
How did it affect your palette in the sense of, you just used very prophetically, you talked about timeless music. Again, you're talking about from the emotional strata, but their music with the polyrhythms. Were you playing? Did you ever? How did those cats, specifically Alu Raka, how did those guys influence you?
Well, I don't know if it's any specific way. Just, when I was listening to all kinds of music when I was starting. God, Indian music, Bulgarian music, African music, blues, jazz, classical, gospel, pop. I absorbed it all.
And
somewhere it all seeps in subconsciously.
Yeah, but this. Can you talk about your feelings about? Did you go on Did you ever do the Chitlin circuit with Delaney and Bonnie?
No, I was playing guitar with them on the Blind Faith tour. They opened the Blind Faith tour. That's how Eric got to meet all those guys. And become Derek and the Dominoes.
Right. But you never went on any black circuit playing, never on the Chitlin circuit?
No.
Is it true that you did about 30-something takes on Jimi Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower?
To be honest with you, I have no clue how many. I don't even remember. It's just me and him and Mitch Mitchell laying down the basic track. It took me a few tries to get his timing on the beginning of that thing. He was very patient with me. I think Eddie Kramer's just blown it out of proportion a little bit.
Right. One guy I noticed you did connect with, I've interviewed him several times. I just wanted you to talk about your relationship with Mike Finnegan.
There's one underrated artist.
Very.
Great singer, great organ player.
When did you cross paths with him?
He was in my band for a long time. In San Francisco, he had a band called the Jerry Horn Brotherhood.
Yeah, I've interviewed everybody in that band, except for Mel Graves, who's passed away. So you saw them up?
Yeah.
You saw them up there?
Finnegan was great. I was living up there, and I was putting a band together, and that's where basically I put that band together with. That's where that band came together with him and Jim Krieger and Phil Johnson and Rick Jager. Too bad we were so out of it. We didn't know how good we were.
You were up in the Bay Area at that time?
Yeah, I lived up there for a while.
Where were you living?
I lived out in Novato. Me and Buddy Miles were the only two people out there at that time. And then I lived on the very end of Tiburon.
Was yeah, because I know for a while the Electric Flag all lived in a hotel somewhere right out in Michael Bloomfield lived out there. Were you out there at that point, or was this later?
No, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, 70, 72, 73, somewhere around there.
It's fascinating stuff because that band, Finnegan, was a monster. I mean, Bill Champlin from the Sons of Champlin said he got humbled big time when he saw a guy with overalls show up and start to sing and play the organ. Champlin thought he was pretty good, but he got humbled real quick by Finnegan. And did you guys wind up cutting any albums together, or were you just a live touring band?
With Finnegan?
Did you guys cut?
Yeah, I got 3 albums with that band.
Gotta check that. Wow. On what label?
Let it flow album. The one called just Dave Mason, and I think It's Like You Never Left.
Did you get to see Miles?
They were my band. They were my backup band for a long time.
No, I know. I mean, I was amazed by that. But you're the first cat that is openly acknowledged playing for yourself. And getting off on it. And I'm just curious, you know, did you get a chance to see John Coltrane play live?
No.
Or Miles?
No.
You never. What jazzers did you get off on?
Well, I used to listen a lot to Jimmy Smith, and Jack McDuff, Jimmy McGriff, and that's when, and George Benson was on a lot of those, especially Jimmy Smith when he was like 19. Kenny Burrell, Dizzy Gillespie, Coltrane, Slam Stewart, Brubeck.
Yeah, you were getting off on that the organ trio stuff with Benson. Were you getting off on that guitar style at all?
Yeah, George Benson was awesome.
Did you ever play with Dave Brubeck?
No.
Okay, that there's a misnomer here in the All Music Guide here. No, yeah, no,
they're all a little too proficient for me. I'm just a simple guy.
I know. So I just want to be clear. I've learned so much about Mace already. We got basically. This is my question. You are the ultimate street scholar. Okay, what I mean by that is you learned on the bandstand. To me, in my mind, when I listen to all genres of music, I believe the language in many genres has been stunted because a lot of the learning has moved into academia. And I realize a lot of the cats in your band you've been with for a long time, but can you talk about your street education and how it helped you develop your own individual sound?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's like people have asked me, can you give me some guitar lessons or something? And it's like, well, no, I couldn't. I don't have the patience. And besides that, half the time I don't even know what I'm doing. So, it's all just feel.
It's all feel. So it's all feel.
I can't teach you how to feel something.
Right. But with and you talked about it earlier, disco was a fad. Mason's not going to go there. Punk's going. Mason's not going to go there. But you had, I'm looking at it, the drum machine. Obviously, cocaine was flowing into this country. It was very pure at one time, but then it got real effed up with crack cocaine, and then you had disco. Ultimately now, though, Mason, you got cats that are, they're paying $30,000 a year to learn a language of music in the four walls of a classroom. I don't see how that's reason. I don't know how you're supposed to grow a language like that.
Well, you can teach the theory of it and impart an appreciation for it. the only way you can know anything is to do it. I mean, it goes for anything, really.
The third L on my program is life. And what I mean by that is overcoming adversity. And I think it's really important for a lot of younger cats in today's, I mean, I don't know what kind of neighborhood you grew up in, but, you know, we get psyched out a little bit easier now, younger generations. And I was hoping you could share a time in your career where you were fighting it and you had to overcome adversity and how you overcame it and how it made you stronger.
Well, everybody has that. I've had ups and downs like anybody else. A lot of them. For me, I've always had my music to come back to. And if I get stuck and can't move forward, I usually go right back to where it was when I first started.
Can you say? Can
and a lot of it's
hello?
Perseverance. You've got to have the dedication. You got to have you got to have belief in yourself, even when there ain't none. You do find it. I mean, that's just, everybody's got something. Getting old ain't for the faint of heart.
Can you talk
life
about?
Life is a trip. If we knew better, we'd do better.
Yeah, no, I could you point to a specific time in your career where you were able to fight through stuff?
Well, I have a lot of them. I have a lot of personal stuff, but they're not really things that I talk about. I mean, it's just my personal part in my life. There's been ups and downs like anything. It's everybody's life.
Sure. No, I understand. But, I mean, even musically, was there ever a style of music? I realize that you're self-taught and not a lot of patience, but was there ever a type of music that humbled you? Like, for instance, reggae. I talked to Ron Tutt. You've probably done sessions with Tutt. Ron Tutt, one of the greatest studio drummers of all time. And when reggae came out, it humbled him. And he had to go back and learn how to, keep the beat on the 1 and 3 instead of the 2 and 4. So I'm not looking to go into the personal side.
Well, reggae, I mean, I grew up around that. It's just a lot of Jamaicans and everything. So reggae has always been there. I love reggae music. I play it a lot. Great groove.
It's a great groove. No, I mean, but was there ever any style of music that humbled you?
A style of music that did what?
That humbled you, that made you had to go back to the woodshed and say, "Oh boy, I'm really not able to handle this."
Well, there's a number of different music that do that. I mean, I can't, there's a lot of great guitar players, way better than me, or more proficient. There's a lot of musicians that I wouldn't even try to get next to. I mean, they're just more proficient. I just know how to put a few notes together and make something out of it. If I could define it and put it together for you, I probably have a string of books out there telling you how to do it.
No, I dig, man. No, I mean, but you said there were so many musics that you had I mean, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, there are bass players that can, like you said, with doing okay, Smoke and Mirrors for a while, and then they got a gig with the Jerry Mulligan Sextet, and all of a sudden, he had to play stuff on the upper register of the bass, and his fingers weren't trained to do that, and he needed to woodshed. But I mean, are you the type of cat that just you're not worried about becoming overly technically proficient in any genre? It's just a matter of getting the
No, I'm not.
Right.
I mean, I know what I can't do. It's not, as much as you need to know what you can do, it's as important to know what it is you can't do.
I dig. No, I mean, Chuck Rainey said, know your strengths, man. Know your strengths. Know your weaknesses.
Yeah. So I just work within what it is I can do.
I
mean,
I wanted to wrap up here by asking you. Part of my show deals in the metaphysical, and I was hoping you could talk.
Nana Nunu.
I wanted you to share.
I'm going to talk to my girlfriend about that.
I'm fine with that too, but I am. But Mace.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Can you talk about your a specific experience that you had on psychedelics and how your use of psychedelics helped you?
LSD.
Because at the time,
LSD, I took that about 3 times. That was it for me.
It didn't work for you?
Yeah, it was. LSD is dependent. You better be in a comfortable place, and you better be around some people you like.
Did you?
It was interesting.
Yeah, can you talk about it?
But I realized that part of it was that for me, it was breaking down the ego, and I didn't like that. And I don't like being out of control.
What do you mean breaking down the ego?
Well, LSD, whether it does that for, I assume it does that for a lot of people. The interesting thing about LSD was it was first synthesized by Sandoz.
That's right.
A Swiss company, and it was developed for as a cure for schizophrenia. Interestingly enough, there was a Poet mental hospital outside of Worcester. Cary Grant used to go around to different clinics taking it. I think Disney was one of the early ones. Dolly took it.
Right.
It was synthesized in the 30s. But for me, it just was breaking down the ego, and I didn't need that. I need that ego. I need the drive. I don't want my drive taken away from me. I'm being a vegetable somewhere, like a lot of people became.
No, because there was a period of time in the mid-60s, this is before you came to the States, but there were these places called the League for Internal Freedom. You go with a card, much the same way if you have a medicinal marijuana card, you can go and get Sandoz acid. You can get pure acid. Were there
I had Timothy Leary at my house a couple of times.
Please tell me a story about that.
I don't know. He was writing some book about some truth about women. I don't know, something like that. I asked him how he thought about all those people that jumped out of windows. I gave him a hard time.
You gave him a hard time?
I did. He kept coming back, though, too. That was what was interesting.
Say again? He was coming down?
He kept coming back to visit.
Yeah, because I'm sure he got off on the fact that you weren't kissing his ass. Are you kidding me? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Well,
but, yeah, I took it 3 times, and that's it. That was enough for me. Okay, it's that. And, but that was for me. That was the big thing for me. I thought it was breaking down my ego, my drive. And I didn't need to lose that.
Can you leave us?
Otherwise, I'd have finished up like Brian Wilson in the sandbox.
Yeah, but you did it 3 times. I know.
My diapers.
But Mace, I know that it had a profound impact on you. If you only did it 3 times,
I doesn't have a profound impact on me. There's way more things in life that have a profound impact on me than that.
Tell me, which one?
Life in general. I got a shitload. I got 70 years worth of it.
Can you just leave us with a good Jimi Hendrix story that maybe has not been told before?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he was basically a very quiet guy, for one thing. And in the studio, man, he was all business. It was just work, getting things done. Very innovative. I mean, and I think there's a lot of great guitar players out there. Really good. Joe Bonamassa is one of my favorites. But there ain't no more Jimi Hendrixes. I don't care how good they are. There's just no more Hendrixes.
Who were you talking about? Were you talking about the cat that's in your band right now?
What's that?
Joe, what's his name? The guitar player that's been with you for 38 years.
Don't tell me you haven't heard of Joe Bonamassa.
I need to talk to that cat immediately. He probably ate more acid than you did.
No, Joe, I doubt it.
No, I would love. You've known him for 38 years.
No, that's John Sambatero is in my band.
Okay, so
Are you not familiar with Joe Bonamassa? Don't tell me you're not. You don't know who that is.
I will. In full disclosure, I'm not.
Bonamassa's playing 3 nights at Radio City Music Hall, for Christ's sake.
I'm more into split coconuts with Mason. You know, give me a break, man. I'm talking about Bob Krasnow with his 3 a.m. care packages, man.
Oh, forget about him.
Yeah, no, but Dave, listen. It was great to connect with you, man. I hope I didn't bore you too much, and I look forward to seeing you when you come through town here, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, and keep on rolling.
I will.
All right, Mace.
Thanks a lot, man. Take care.
Cheers. Bye. Nice work. First time for everything. Dude, I'm sure he didn't.
Hopefully the future is brighter than it looks.
Wallace Gilberry, I would have had you on Monday, but you and I, you can confirm this. I say it on the radio. You and I are actually like friends. Like we care for one another.
Oh yeah, without